speaking of that, what exactly happened with Mike and Nicole, and what's the future of the Pumpkins touring lineup for the new albums?
As far as future lineup, don't know. With Mike and Nicole, I think it was simply a divide in what was the future of the band in terms of work and intensity. I think Jeff and I felt that in order to push the band forward, it was going to take a Herculean effort. And I don't think that Mike and Nicole necessarily felt the same. It's not to say they weren't committed. They did commit and did a great job for what they were committed to. But there are those points in every relationship, maybe is the best word, where you say, in order to get here, we have to do X. And they didn't particularly agree with Jeff and I's version of that. And having been through it before, as I have, I basically said very simply, there's really no other way. You can't be weekend warriors in a band like the Smashing Pumpkins. You got to go all the way in. And there was some reluctance on their part to go all the way in, and I respect them for that, in that they have other things they want to do in their life, and they should do those things. So there's no animosity there. But at the end of the day, I'm the one who has to stand there and answer for whether or not the Smashing Pumpkins can be a contemporary band, can be a band that can headline a festival, can be a band that still gets talked about in a regular way as an artistic group and not just a mess of drama. So, I'm the one that ultimately has to answer for whether or not what I'm getting inside the house is what I need to push the band.
So Nicole's definitely gone from the band at this point?
Yeah, I don't see her coming back.
Mm-hmm.
But I respect the heck out of her talent.
Mm-hmm.
She's one of the most talented musicians I've ever worked with.
Right.
And I love the things that she's contributed, and we remain in touch, and I also remain in touch with Mike. So it's not the typical, blow up, have a nice life type stuff. I mean, we remain friends, and I do care about what happens with them in the future. It's just the Pumpkins is one of those things where it's like there's not a lot of room at this point for interpretation. If there's, and I'm sure you've seen these interviews where people ask me about the old days and the arenas and stuff. There's an expectation there that the band has to exist at a certain level or somehow it's failing.
Right.
And I deal with those expectations every day, and maybe in their case or other people's case they don't. So I'm more attuned to what that means, what it means to try to operate at a very high level in the music business, which is constantly crumbling and constantly pushing forward artists that really are not musicians. So to be a musical act, to be a musician, a songwriter in this world is a tough gig. And, I'm no spring chicken. So I was asking and continue to ask for the highest commitment from the people I work with. And I'm lucky in that I have a person that just did this album with me, and Jeff Schroeder, that's 100% committed. And I think when people hear the results on the new album, they'll know that they'll hear the difference. They won't just believe me. They'll hear it. And I think that, that it'll show there.
Mm-hmm. Now, following your recent solo performance, you tweeted that Pumpkin shows now will have no limits set list-wise. What other Zwan songs or solo songs would you then like to perform as a part of Pumpkin shows? Maybe some unreleased ones?
Don't know. There's so many songs, I think between the released and unreleased material, there's 400 songs. I just feel like those walls don't need to be up anymore. And I just like to play whatever I feel is best for the situation. I think in the Ravinia show you had a situation where you had a very mainstream crowd, in addition to obviously some hardcore fans. And I found a really nice balance between, the right songs for the right moment, if that makes any sense.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's how it should be under every aegis that we play under from now on. I am trying to figure out a way to do kind of this. If there's me solo, like I talked about in the blog, if there's me solo, which is obviously me and a guitar or me and a piano, and there's the band, which at this point is Jeff and I and whoever. I'd like to do this other thing that would be almost kind of more of a collaborative version, kind of like what we did with the X-Cops and Sierra and Matt Walker, where we have other people that are part of our world come in and play, interpret the music, and the simplest way is to say Smashing Pumpkins Acoustic or something, but I like to think of a more clever name than that, so I'm still working on that. But I think that would be a really fun thing to do, because you could set a different set of expectations and also explore a whole lot of other music in a different context. Because obviously when you go out under Smashing Pumpkins and the big bold letters, I mean, there's an expectation that's kind of hard to avoid.
Right. Now, you've talked a lot about the ADD generation of music fans when it comes to writing your new albums, especially on your blog. What songs do you predict off of Monuments to an Elegy and Day for Night will grab their attention?
All of them. All of them. Yeah. The album is very attuned to the speed of this generation, which, whether or not, let's say, the Generation X wants to be a part of, we are a part of it now.
Mm-hmm.
So I just think it's just, you got to move at the speed of the world, or you look kind of flat-footed and antiquated.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we found a nice balance of what we do well and the speed of the world. So it's hard to talk about, because at the end of the day, people either get it musically or they don't. And there's times where I've been certain that people will get it and they don't. And there's other times where I thought nobody would get it and they do. So I've learned to kind of not guess on that anymore. Mm-hmm. I feel like it's there, and all the response I've gotten behind the scenes is like off the charts. Mm-hmm. Just really, really intense response. Like, things like people saying, like, this is the record I've been waiting for you to make for 15 years, that kind of stuff. Very, very grandiose things, but it tells me that we're on point in terms of hitting the right note. Because if you made, like, ha ha ha, Siamese Dream 2, people wouldn't have that response. Mm-hmm. They wouldn't see it as current. Mm-hmm. And I know that from my own list. So it feels current to people that are hearing it.